Most people who start archery come from one of two groups. Either they are so keen that they've bought their first bow before even their first archery lesson, or they know nothing about archery, nothing about buying bows, and they go to the local club or range and use their equipment. If you're from the first category of already having your own gear, this video isn't really for you. There are some pitfalls with buying gear before learning about archery, but that's for a different video. This is more so for the beginners who spend multiple sessions at the local club or range and are feeling a little apprehensive about buying their own gear, either because they are not sure about spending money or not sure about what kind of bow to get and so on, which then leads to the question, well, when should you buy your own equipment? Especially if you can use club equipment or rent equipment, why buy your own? And the simple answer is buy your own equipment as soon as you know you are ready to commit to archery. The sooner you buy your own equipment, the better. The faster you will learn, the faster you will improve, the faster you will see better results. What exactly makes club or rental equipment a bad choice for ongoing development? I want to firstly clarify that the stuff we give you at a typical club isn't bad, or in most cases shouldn't be bad. They are typical low cost $100, $200 wooden bows which you can buy yourself, and most people start with these bows, and we give them out as pretty much standard issue for most learners. The bows we have at our club are either 15 or 20 pounds. We give the same bows to everybody, and everyone learns the same bows and same techniques. So it's a fairly equal learning platform. But that's where the problems begin. Not everyone is the same. Now, of course, I'm not trying to criticize my own club and what clubs offer. We are a small local suburban club in Western Melbourne, and I believe that this represents the average or the midpoint of what a local archery club has to offer. You will find much better resource clubs which are larger, have more resources, materials and equipment, or private indoor ranges with a lot more full-time staff working on this sort of stuff. We are volunteers, so we don't spend much time here working on these things as frequently, but we're also a step above the local small-scale community camps or school camps or theme parks which might have archery as an activity but don't have any training or the skills to maintain the equipment. So this is pretty much what you might expect on average if you went to a club. Now, we have a selection of recurve bows. Notably, we don't have compounds. We have some samples lying around for people who want to see one or try one, but most clubs will not give out compound bows. The exception is the Genesis bow, which kind of isn't a real compound, but that's a different story. But the bows we give are meant to be used by anyone, from young children to adults to older people, and so on. So these bows are meant to be easy enough to handle, light enough for most people to use. So we have between 12-pound junior bows to 50-pound intermediate bows to 20-pound larger bows. And we do have some 24-pound bows and occasional 30-pound bow, but we don't really have anything more than that. Now, most of our bows are from the same set, but we have a fairly big mix of bows from different years. Some bows are older than our club, others are recent purchases. And most clubs have this sort of mixed collection where they try to keep what they can, not buy too many new bows which aren't being used, and they replace things as they break. So apart from the mix of bows, we also have a very large mix of arrows. Now, typically, we have certain kinds of arrows for our bows. So our 20-pound bows might use these black carbon arrows. The 15-pound bows might use these purple aluminium arrows. And our light junior bows might use these thinner arrows. Each has their own spine rating, which we've roughly matched to each bow for okay performance all round. We also give you a finger tab, like one of these. We make our own, or we might buy some outsourced. All the bows have rubber finger guards, and you get pretty much a commercial arm guard, and that's basically it. So you get your setup, you give you your bow. So, here's your bow, here are your arrows, here's your arm guard, good luck, have fun, and that sort of stuff. We'll teach you, of course, but it's all about having fun for the first few shots and then gradually improving as you spend more time doing more archery. Is there anything wrong with this setup? Well, no, not necessarily. These bows are fine. I've reviewed them, I've shot them, I quality checked them, they shoot fine, right or left-handed. These are fine quality bows for their price. Perfect for beginners. You can buy this on your own and you can learn to shoot in your backyard, in your range or your farm or whatever, and these are fine. So what is it that makes these bows or this combination not so appropriate for someone who wants to learn archery in the long term? The answer is it's not personalized. It is not a perfect match for you. And that's really what archery really should be about if you want to take it seriously. You have to choose your own equipment which suits you. So while we offer a small range of bows, you might not find that these draw weights are right for you. A lot of people, for example, don't want to shoot a 20-pound bow. They might want to shoot a lighter bow, but we don't have a lighter bow. That's not a kid size. Or you might want to shoot a heavy bow, and we don't have a heavier bow because our beginners don't shoot above 20 pounds. You might want to shoot a 25-pound bow or 30-pound bow, or start even higher if you want to. So because we don't offer those options, you are limited to what we have, and we don't have it available on that day, then you might not have the bow you want to use. So that's already an immediate reason to start thinking about getting your own bow. Even so, the stuff that we give you is not really meant for anyone in particular. So while, for example, these arrows we use, so this is a 20-pound bow, these are Eastern Apollo, the spine rating is 840, which is fairly light spine for a light bow. This is okay for the average person with, say, a 28-inch draw pulling this bow. But if you do not have a 28-inch draw pulling this bow with this arrow will not fly particularly well. And this is something which we overlook with beginners because we shoot with only short distances for beginners, but of course when you shoot competitively, you're shooting at easily 5 to nearly 10 times the distance depending on what you're shooting. So because of that, the flight characteristics of these arrows and the tune with these bows, how straight they come out of the bow, will be very different per person. Part of choosing your own equipment is matching your arrows with your bow, so your specific draw weight at your specific draw length will match the arrow you use for the most optimal performance. And you can shoot relatively well with good form with these bows, but the accuracy or precision will not reward you with good form. There is a hard limit over what you can achieve with mismatched equipment. And thirdly, the stuff that we have, you might not just like. You might prefer a particular style of finger tab or glove. You might prefer a particular style of arm guard, and it's not uncommon for people to actually buy their own gloves, finger tabs or arm guards to bring to the range because what they have might not be the best fit or the best match for your particular needs. Even before buying a bow, people already think about buying protective equipment, which is a good choice. You might not like the feel of the bows we have or the color of the bow we have and so on. And this sort of setup is very good for a typical club where we go through a lot of different people every day, every week, who just want to have a go for an hour or two. That's why these bows and equipment exist. It's not meant to be a perfect match because these aren't people who are looking for a perfect match. We give you stuff that is good enough. And this is the best case scenario where we care enough to maintain our equipment and buy new things and replace things as we need to. You will find other places which are not as well maintained. You'll find bowstrings are old and frayed, limbs might be kind of old, split even, arrows are completely mismatched, no one knows about spine rating, and they'll buy any random arrow off eBay, and you end up with a very poor experience, which is not what archery should be for a first timer. And again, this is often due to the lack of training and resources for smaller outdoor venues rather than archery clubs, which are normally better resourced and have more expertise. But point being is that you would not have a consistent quality of service and quality of equipment every single time you go to a club. Basically, there's only so much I can teach you with a basic club bow. It's a good learning platform, especially the light bows, and very often people would join the club, bring their own gear, but learn basic form with club bows. That's very common. But the thing is that if you want to fine-tune your performance for what you need your own gear. And like with many other sports, for example, golf or tennis or 10-pin bowling, you can hire equipment for a fee, and that of course adds up in the long run. But this is stuff which isn't suited for you. It's the best fit you have or what's available. As soon as you start buying your own gear, you start to have ownership of your archery. You choose your own bow, you choose your own arrows, you choose exactly what you like, what fits you, and then you can start claiming that it is you driving the shot, not the bow. This might be the ceiling, the hard limit, the bottleneck for your development in archery. Not saying this is a bad bow, this is fine. But everything we give you is only here to give you the basics of archery, the feel for archery, not make you a master archer. That's your journey for you to take in the way you want. And yes, it may be scary to buy your first bow, or can be very exciting. There's a lot of things to look forward to when buying a bow. Again, people get really excited choosing simply the color of the rise they want or the style of bow they want. You start having direction in what you want to do and where you want to go. And while the money might be a little heavy up front, archery can be as cheap or expensive as you want it to be. If you want to be competitive and go very far, you might want to budget $1,000 or more for your bow, and that will last you virtually forever. If you want to do it casually and just do it as a fun weekend hobby, then spend a couple hundred on a bow, and it's completely fine as well. My advice to people who are not sure about getting a bow or whether you should wait before getting a bow, as soon as you know you want to do archery seriously, then get a bow. The sooner, the better. If you're not sure what you're getting, ask around, do research, but think about getting your own gear sooner so you know what you can change, what you can fix. But it's not our random club bows which are causing trouble. It might be your form, it might be your equipment, but we can fix those things because they belong to you. Anyway, I hope you found that interesting and informative. Thank you for watching. As usual, be well, shoot straight, and hopefully we'll see you next time.